Scientific notation is what we're going to kind of talk about in this video. So, scientific notation, you may be aware, I should say you should be familiar with it. You may not be familiar with it, but it's just a method we use to write very large or very small numbers without having to, write all the zeros and everything else out. What we use it for in this class is just to kind of introduce you into how to write powers of 10 in your answers, because when you do unit conversions next, you need to understand what 10 to the third power means, what 10 to the negative third power means, so on and so forth. So we just kind of give you a brief introduction to that with the scientific notation. But an example of scientific notation looks something like that. Now, it's a small number because 10 to the third actually means 1,000, okay? The rule for scientific notation is your base number here must be between 1 and 10, and then you have your times your 10 raised to the power. So theoretically, what this, or I guess reality-wise, this number actually is 1,540. Sorry about that. I'm trying to talk and write at the same time. How do I arrive at that? Well, if I take something times 10 to the third, I'm taking it times 1,000, but in reality, I'm just taking the decimal point and moving it 1, 2, 3 places to the right. Now, in math, we don't write that ending decimal point, but we assume it's there for a whole number. Okay, so that's a positive power of 10. Well, let's say I had this number here, where I have a negative power of 10. Well, negative exponent implies that the number is going to be smaller than 1. So this really means I'm multiplying by 1 over 10 to the fourth, which is 1 over 10,000, which means I'm in theory dividing this by 10,000. But we don't have to worry about all that, because if I wanted to write this number out, it would look something like that. So the way I got this was, that's where the decimal place is, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. Put my 0 in front, or you don't have to, but that is a number less than 1. So always remember the format for scientific notation. You have the base number between 1 and 10, and then you're counting from the end of the number to where it would get to the number between 1 and 10, and that's the power of 10 you choose. So if the number is bigger than 1, your power of 10 is going to be positive. If your number is smaller than 1, your power of 10 is going to be negative. So if I had 3,768,932, and I want to write this in scientific notation, and then I want to round it to 3 significant figures. Now, we don't do a lot with significant figures. I personally don't care for them, but you may come across a question or two that asks you to do that. So 3 significant figures, well, it's going to be 3 digits, okay? But keep in mind, you've got to round. So if I want to write this number in scientific notation, I'm going to go 3.7. I look at this 6 here. Since the number to the right of it is bigger than 4, so 5 or greater, I add 1 to the 6 to make it a 7. Now I go times 10, and I count from where I put the decimal point to the end of the number. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's times 10 to the 6th. 10 to the 6th means a million. So you are multiplying 3.77 times a million to get 3,770,000. Okay, so try to use your knowledge of what these powers of 10 mean, and instead of writing times a million, we use 10 to the 6th power. And it's positive again because this number is bigger than 1. So let's look at an example here. Where I have a number less than 1. And again, the number less than 1 is going to have a negative exponent like we did up here. So I'm going to write my base number rounded to 3 significant figures. So I only want 3 digits in my answer. Since this number is larger than 4, 5 or bigger, I'm going to make that 785. But for scientific notation, this number here has got to be between 1 and 10. So it's 7.85 times 10. Then I'm just going to count from where I put my decimal point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the negative 7. Okay, so that's how you convert to scientific notation from a whole number. This is how you expand from scientific notation to the whole number. So just go ahead and practice that. Like I said, there's not a lot of questions on it. It's kind of getting you used to, with the units and the unit conversions.